Senator Cramer, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here and for your service. I want to drill down a little bit on where we just wrapped up General McKenzie with Senator Cotton as he ran out of time. I guess for me, there are a couple of things. And by the way, your characterization of CENTCOM as the land of imperfect solutions describes the United States Senate as well. And we do better to realize that sometimes as a body. But anyway, that said, there are a couple of things specific to, I think, where Senator Cotton was going and where you were going. One are the timelines themselves. The sunsets create almost an implication of license to accumulate the very thing we're trying to prevent them from getting. There's that, and then there's just how to compel compliance. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit for me, a better understanding of the relief of sanctions. Again, getting back to Senator King asked the relevant question in the give and take. So that the sanctions relief that provides money, and then the time that the sunsets provide. How are we balancing that right? Maybe that's the way to ask the question.
Sir, I would defer to the Department of State and to our negotiators for the details on that. But I would tell you, just from where I sit, my guidance is clearly we don't want Iran to possess a nuclear weapon. And so that the best way to get to that solution is for them to agree not to pursue it. They may be closer than we like when we reach that level of agreement. Don't know. That's a matter for the diplomats, not for me.
Let me ask this: and do you, in your opinion, do you think that the IRGC belongs on the foreign terrorist organization list, and should that be under consideration in this negotiation?
Well, from everything that I can see from where I sit, the IRGC is a terrorist organization. Well,
I'd say you have a pretty good seat, a pretty good view of that. So thank you for that. I also then want to, none of these, by the way, were in my original list of things to talk about, but you, in your response to, I think it was Senator Tuberville, you talked about the other relationships, the allied relationships. You specifically brought up F-35 sales to UAE, for example, as an example. And you talked about the long slog. Specific to the UAE and the F-35s, and in fact, let me back up a second. I just read a report, I can't keep track of my weeks, either earlier this week or I think it was last week, reports of leadership, UAE, Saudi leadership, not even taking phone calls from U.S. leadership as a result of some of this. Do you think the F-35 sale to UAE should have gone through sooner, and should we be doing it as soon as possible? Should we, what are the ramifications if we don't do it in this imperfect solution world you live in?
Well, I think in general, anytime we undertake weapon sales to a foreign nation, you want to do it as soon as practically possible. In an advanced system like the F-35, and I'm not an expert on the procurement and delivery of that weapon system, it's going to take some time to get there. It's not a system that you can build rapidly beyond the existing scale of production, so it's going to take some time to be there. But I think our friends sometimes find it frustrating when the timeline slips and goes on well into the future.
So, do you have a basic philosophy of how you have the appropriate guardrails in our system that provides a comfort level for your overseers, who have to provide a comfort level for the people we work for, and and then maintaining those relationships?
Sir, I can talk more about it in the closed session, but briefly the answer is yes. I am comfortable with those guardrails. All right.
Thank you, General McKenzie. General Townsend, in my last minute, just some questions of my favorite topic. And we all, I think, struggle with the maintenance of legacy systems and making room for modern systems, particularly in the ISR realm. So I'm just going to ask you a very open-ended question. Are you getting the ISR you need? Are you concerned about any gaps in ISR coverage? And do you have any thoughts, or literally and seriously and sincerely any thoughts for us as we consider the balance of all of that?
Thanks, Senator. No combatant commander has the ISR they wish to have. AFRICOM does the best work we can with the ISR that were allocated. I could certainly use more ISR. Your point about the legacy ISR systems and transitioning to more capable systems, I think that's something that our nation's doing and our services are doing for the future. We have to do that because we need platforms that are more capable against the higher-end competitors. However, in theaters like mine, and even General McKenzie's, the legacy ISR systems that we have work just fine. We don't need exquisite high-end capabilities to do the work we're doing in Africa, but I do understand why our department needs those for other theaters.
Appreciate you both. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Cramer. Senator Rosen, please.
Thank you, Chairman.